everyone. Welcome to askIITians. How are you all? I hope you all are good, you all are great, and everyone is doing very well. So, students, today we are going to start our new chapter that is the weather, climate, and adaptation of animals to climate. So, that's the interesting chapter, I think, because if we talk about weather, like daily, some people are having habit of checking weather on a very daily basis, like they on in the very morning they just open their phones or their newspapers or news channels and they'll check that how's the weather for the day, exactly, like whether it is cloudy or it is like partly cloudy or it is like sunny. So we are having different categories for that, exactly. So that's how in this chapter we are going to talk about weather, what's the exact difference between the weather and the climate, and then we'll see that how the animals adapting to that particular climate. Because we know this thing, student, that each and every area, if we talk about an overall world, so they all are having their own climate. So we'll see that how it differs and how it is happening and how the animals are adapting to it. Fine. So today we are going to start a new chapter, and before starting our session, I would like to introduce myself. So my name is Arushi Sharma and I'm going to teach you this chapter. So now let's start with the session. So students, these are the topics which we are going to cover up in today's class. Very small topics. It's not like that we have to think so much about it. As you can see in the picture also, so many, like you can see that there are a variety of weather, like sunny, partly cloudy, sun and raining. So we are having varieties in that also. Like we are having varieties in our dresses, like someday we want to wear shirt, we want to wear t-shirts, we want to wear top. So it's like we are having variety of it. Similarly, God has also given us variety in weather as well. So that's how we are not having only one kind of weather. Otherwise, it will be a kind of boring for us, because all of the sunny or all of the rainy, it would be like what I can say, it would be a kind of boring thing. So that's how we are having variety of it, so that we will be facing each and every kind of thing. Fine. So the topics which we are going to cover up is the introduction. What are the elements of weather? Then we'll see that what's the climate is. Fine. So starting with the introduction, student. So here what happens, student, like in the very morning, like generally it happened with me in winter, like whenever I wake up in the morning, so usually I ask my mother that what's the weather outside, like whether it is sunny, whether it is foggy, or what it is. So every day it's like she told me, now no, now today is sunny and today is fog. So that's how I interpret that maybe today I'll be facing more winter, or if like it's sunny, so I was like, okay, that's nice, and I'm going to sit in sunlight. So that's how it goes in our mind every day. Even those students, what happened, like we have to go somewhere, and for that, if we know that okay, rainy season is going on, so generally we check it out that today what will be the weather, because we are having weather forecasting, obviously, because we are having data on our phones, on our newspapers, news channels, so everyone gives us data about the weather. So it's like we are used to this thing. So the atmospheric condition of a place on daily basis with regards to aspects such as humidity, temperature, wind temperature, rainfall, wind speed, etc. is referred to as the weather of that place. Like whatever, like whether we are talking about temperature, whether we are talking about rainfall, sunny, cloudy, partly cloudy. So it's like that that atmospheric condition of that place on a very daily basis, as I have told you, like generally whenever we have to go out, so we always check the weather forecast, and in that we always look at that what's the temperature is. In winter we generally check it out whether it is very cold or not. In summers we generally check it out whether it is very hot or not. If we check out whether there is the rain or not. So that's how we check it on daily basis. So that atmospheric conditions which we are checking on a daily basis, so that we can make our plans according to it, so we called it as weather of that place. For example, right now the place where I'm living, so it is having a winter season. Okay, so for winter season, student, what generally I check it out that whether it is having a foggy day, whether it is having a sunny day, or what's the real, or whether it is having rainfall. So according to that, I made my plans. So that means I'm checking out the atmospheric condition of my area, that whether this day is suitable for me to go out or not. So that I'm checking the weather of my place. So, and this information from where I'm getting, either I can use my mobile, either I can use my TV, either I can use newspaper, because all of them are having the information about the weather. Yes, it is exact, student, that like whether we are getting the information from them, maybe it could be possible that the weather is going to be changed at the very next minute, because it's not there in their hand. It's like they check over all these data and then they provide us the details that how the weather it is, but it's like it's not in the hand of the human beings. It's like natural thing, so it could be like changing at the very next moment as well. So it's not like that, but we are actually having the data of it, and probably, or you can say mostly, it is correct. Okay, and on that basis we'll see that whether we can plan something or not. Okay, so for that, students, I'm going to show you one video, and I hope you will be liking that video. So here it is. Let me check it out. Actually, it's like that maybe the video is not working, so give me a minute, students, so that I can show you the video. Okay, so maybe it is not working right now, so just a minute only, so we can open it again, because it happens sometime. Like we all know this thing that it is what I can say, internet issues may be there, or like application problem will be there, so it's not in our hand. It sometimes happen like video is playing or not, so now maybe it will play it. So here's the video. Weather. In this chapter, let us learn about weather, climate, and adaptations of various animals to climate. First, let us learn about weather. We all might have heard the cricket commentary. Before the game starts, the experts discuss the weather. In the newspapers, we can see the daily weather report, which has the information about the temperature, humidity, and rainfall during the past 24 hours. Daily weather predictions and reports are shown on the television and newspapers. The weather reports are prepared. So students, like with the starting of the video, she told us that whenever there is some kind of match, so there is a announcement of the weather forecasting, and it's like because of that also, like they generally what happened, like they know about this, that okay, today is a sunny day and we will be having a good match, but somehow like conditions will be different, or weather is going to be changed, so somehow it will be a rain between the match and they have to stop it, because the match is something which takes a long time to complete. Exactly, and it is always, and we know this thing that the cricket is a kind of sport which takes place in an open area. We can't play cricket in one room. Exactly, it requires an open area, a large size field. So that's how, student, before cricketing, if you see that whenever we are going to watch cricket, so it's like an announcement of the weather forecasting, that how's the day is going to be. Okay, and that's how we get this information from our newspapers. They are having all of the data, as I have told you. Now, who is providing this data? So let's watch it. By the meteorological department of the government. Many of our daily activities are planned based on the weather predicted for that day. Now, let us exactly know what is weather. Let's perform an activity. Collect the weather reports of the last week from any newspaper. Then, draw a table with 6 columns and 8 rows. Name each column in the first row as date, maximum temperature, minimum temperature, maximum humidity, minimum humidity, and rainfall, respectively. Now fill all the rows with the information provided in the weather reports of the newspaper. Now let us analyze the data updated in the table. The maximum and minimum temperatures recorded may be the same for some of the days. However, all the parameters cannot be same on any 2 days. Over a week, there may be considerable variation. The day-to-day condition of the atmosphere at a place with respect to the temperature, humidity, rainfall, wind speed, etc. is called the weather at that place. The So students, like what we have observed about the weather, like you can do this activity, you can collect the data from any of the newspaper for regular 7 days, like for a week, and then you can prepare a table. And from that table, you will be getting that okay, that the temperature is changing, but they are somehow near to each other. Exactly, like one day if it is 40 degrees Celsius, so the very next day it could be 42 or 43, or that's how. But there will not be a very drastic change. It could be possible, but it's like when you will be observing any data for it, so you will be finding that you will not having the exact of it is like if one day it is 40 degrees Celsius, so it's not like that next day you are also getting the same maximum temperature. There will be some variation. So the day to day variation in the atmospheric conditions like temperature, rainfall, wind speed, so that we called as the weather of that place. And according to that weather we plan our things. Like if we know that today there is a chances of high rainfall, so it's like we plan that okay, if it is the rainfall, so today we are not going to enjoy for outside. Exactly. So that's how student will see the all of these parameters how, like the temperature, rainfall, wind speed, and humidity, each and everything, and then we'll decide that how it is possible to go out or not. So the daily to daily changes in the atmospheric condition, and on the basis of that if we are planning to do something, so that we call as the weather of that place. Okay.
Temperature, humidity, and other factors are called the elements of the weather. The weather of a place varies from day to day. Hence, the weather is a complex phenomenon and it varies over very short periods of time. Yet times, we may find the day to be sunny in the morning. Suddenly clouds appear and it may start raining. Sometimes, we may find a heavy rain followed by a bright sunshine. The maximum and minimum temperatures are recorded by using special thermometers called maximum and minimum thermometers. All changes in the weather are caused by the sun. We experience the maximum temperature of the day in the afternoon, while the minimum temperature occurs in the early morning.
So students, what we have seen in this video, that we talked about weather, that how what is the weather is. So we have seen that the changing in the atmospheric condition on the very daily basis, or you can see it's not only about the daily basis. It could be possible like only in the one day, in the morning you will be having sun, but it's like that in afternoon maybe there will be a rainfall, and again there will be sun. So that's how student weather is changing on a very every moment. So it's just like that student, that we can't say that weather is existing for a very long period of time. It's like that weather is changing over a short period of time, and we don't have any idea about it, that how it is changing or how it is going to be changed. So it's just that student weather is you can say something that which is changing over a short period of time, like on a very daily basis we check the atmospheric condition, that what would be the maximum minimum temperature. And it's like that student, we are having thermometers, special thermometers, which help us to check the maximum and minimum temperature of that place on a very daily basis. And it's like that student, that all these weather changes depends upon the sun. So it's like that student, if we talk about sun is a source of heat, and from that student we measure that what would be the temperature, maximum temperature and minimum temperature. Because student, what happened, like if we talk about summer season, so in the very mid of the afternoon, like around 12 p.m. or 1 p.m, so what happened, that the sun is shining like a, I can't describe like how it is shining, because it gives a lots of heat at that time, that the temperature is maximum at that point, and the temperature is minimum at the very early morning, like around 4 a.m. or 5 a.m, that temperature is very minimum. So that's how student weather is something which is changing over a short period of time, and we are having the data of it also. Like we are getting this data from the meteorological department of the government. Fine. So now student, as we have discussed about the weather, now weather is also having elements. What are the elements of the weather? So these are the elements of weather: temperature, sun, humidity, rainfall. That means student, that how it is changing, and that is I say, and we have to notice that what's the weather of that place. So what we'll see, we see all such elements. How? Temperature. For example, if you're living in some place which is very hot in nature, so you will be observing whether the today's temperature is very maximum or it is the lowest one, or how it is like how it is going. So on basis of that, if you are looking that the temperature is very high, like around 45 or 50 degrees Celsius, so you will be like, no, it's a very high temperature, very hot, I can't move out. So you will be in, you will be not going anywhere. So similarly, if I will talk about some place which are very colder in nature, even though people go out for their jobs, for their offices, for their schools, but it's like that when the temperature is giving a very drastic change, so we'll think about it, that today it is safe for like safe to go or not. So that's how we'll see the temperature, that what's the temperature of the day. Then we talk about sun, like whether the sun is the very sunny day, or if it is partly cloudy, or it is completely cloudy. So on basis of that, we decided like what we have to do. For example, some people like a very sunny day and some people like some kind of cloudy day. So it's like depending on our wishes and depending on the weather, so we'll see the factor of sun as well, that how the sun is going to be shine today, whether it is very shiny or whether it will be dull. So that's how we depend on it as well. Humidity, students, we can say that the moisture in the atmosphere. For example, if I'll tell you one thing, that my mother, whenever she used to wash clothes, so she always find it out whether it is a very sunny day, because on a very sunny day there is very less moisture in the atmosphere. That means humidity is very less on that day, and the clothes will get very, like it will get dry very easily. But if the moisture is there in the atmosphere, so clothes will take time to get dry. So that's how humidity is also a very important element of the weather, which we always notice for our work. Now, if we talk about rainfall, so rainfall, student, as I can say that there is no need to explain it, because if it is rainfall, so it causes many problems, that we can't go out, we can't enjoy for. Yes, you can enjoy in rainfall, like taking bath in rainfall, but it's like that if there it is a very high rainfall, so it's like that if we have to plan to go somewhere, so we can't, because we know this thing that rainfall is there, so we can't go out and we can't manage things. So that's how, student, these are all the elements of the weather which plays a important role for our daily basis life, or we can say for our plans, that how we are going to plan our work. It's not like that we are totally depending on it, that if it is rainfall we are not going offices. It's not like that, people go for offices, but it's just that these are the elements of weather on which our plan, you can say, we decides our plan, and even though like we depend on them. Okay, so these are the elements of weather, that is the temperature, sun, humidity, rainfall. And you can also add one more here, student, that is the wind speed, that how the wind is, like wind speed is also an important element of weather. Because some places, students, what happened, there are high chances of cyclones and tornadoes. So what happened, so such places always look at the factor of wind speed, because what happens, student, if the wind speed is very high, so it directly converts to cyclones or tornado, which is a disaster for the people. Exactly, student. So weather forecasting, like the meteorological department, has to be provide all of these information in the very advance, that today there is a chances that maybe the wind speed could be very high and there will be a chances of the destruction, so that the people will get alert of it and they will be managing their things, or they will be moving from that place, because we are having many different places na, and all of the places are having their own weather on their climate. So that's how it depends on that also. So all these things, students, are very important, because on basis of that we are getting advanced information, and then if there is some kind of chances of a disaster happening, so that people can manage before it. Okay, because if you have noticed that in many of the areas, or generally if there is a chances of any disaster, so we got the information in very advance, that okay, there is a high alert in our places, that maybe there is a kind of high wind speed, or the temperature is going to be very high, or the today the rainfall will be very heavy, so you will be not allowed to go out of your houses. So that's how, student, these elements of weather help us, so that we can be getting the information in very advance and we will be managing all such things. Fine, students. So we have discussed about the elements of weather. Now coming to climate. So student, climate is something like, if we talk about weather, so weather is like which is changing on a very short period of time. But climate is something, student, which is not changing over a short period of time. It's like a long time, you can say a long time thing. For example, student, like if I talk about India, so students, in India we are having different states. If I say for Rajasthan, so people generally think about that Rajasthan is a very hot place, because in the summer season what happened, temperature may be rising up to 50 degrees Celsius. But if we talk about like Jammu and Kashmir, so it's like student that we are having a very less temperature over this place. That means it is a very cold place. So we can say that the climate of Rajasthan is very hot in nature, whereas for the Jammu and Kashmir, or if we go for the north side, so it is very cold climate. That means the weather condition for a very long period of time in a particular area, so we consider it as climate. So you can see here, student, the average pattern of the weather recorded over a long time, say 25 years, is known as the climate of that place. The weather, it's like that, student. Yes, there may be changes, but it's like overall, if we see very like overall change in the weather for a very long time, and if it is giving the overall change as a hot place or even cold place, or like you can say different thing can also be there, so we consider it as the climate of that place. Fine. If the temperature at the place is high mostly, then we affirm that the climate of the that place is hot. As I have given you the example of Rajasthan. So what happens, student, that for a very long time, if we have recording all of the temperature, so what we have find it out, that always the temperature of Rajasthan is nearly from 45 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius. So that we have confirmed that okay, the climate of the Rajasthan is very hot. That's why, student, whenever we are visiting to Rajasthan, so we generally don't carry very heavy clothes like woolen clothes, because we know the temperature is hot, so we can't wear all such clothes. Fine. But it's if we are going for Jammu and Kashmir or Srinagar or something like that, so we know that the climate of that particular area is very cold in nature, that we can't only wear our t-shirts or shirt, because it is a very cold place, so we have to carry our woolen clothes with us. So that's a, student, we know that such places are having their recorded temperature recorded with data, so that we are having the idea that okay, this place is hot in nature or this place is cold in nature. So the weather which is recorded for a long period of time, so we consider it as the climate of that particular area. Fine, student. So I hope you got the idea or the difference between the weather and the climate. So weather is something which is having a short period of time, like it is changing at the very moment, and we don't have any idea that if it is today sunny or if it is going to be rainfall. Whether we are having prior information, but somehow, student, it is not in our hand, as we know. So it's like that, it's it's a kind of nature thing, natural thing that is done by the god, I can say, because we are not doing. So I don't know who is doing this thing, that in morning we are getting sun and in the very afternoon we are getting rainfall. So it's like it depends upon that. So that is called as the weather. And when the weather is recorded for a long period of time, and then we are getting some kind of overall thing, then we call it as the climate of that place. Fine, students. So that's the difference between these two. And if we talk about the elements, that on what basis we record the weather, so it's temperature, sun, humidity, and we have seen wind speed and the rainfall. So these are the student elements of the weather. Because, students, we know that some places are having very high rainfall and some places are having very less rainfall. So all these factors plays an important role in our daily basis life. Fine, students. Okay, so that means we have covered up all of the topics. Now we are going to discuss about the questions. So the question is, name the elements that determine the weather of a place. So we have already discussed, student. It's temperature, humidity, rainfall, wind. These all are the elements that determine the weather of a place. What are the maximum and minimum temperatures likely to occur during the day? So, students, we have already seen this thing, like for the maximum minimum temperature, generally it's not like that we are talking about obviously, it's like generally what we have observed, that in the mid of the day, like in the afternoon, we are getting the maximum temperature, and in the very early morning we are getting the minimum temperature. So maximum temperature occurs during the daytime and afternoon, to be the precise, whereas minimum temperature occurs early in the morning. So that's the maximum minimum temperature, and this is recorded by the meteorological department of government. And it's like that they are using special thermometers for that. That is called as the maximum and minimum temperature, from which we are getting the data that okay, today the maximum temperature is going to be 44 degrees Celsius and the minimum temperature will be 27 degrees Celsius. So it depends upon daily basis, and that's how we are getting the data of daily basis weather. So that's how, student, we have done all of the topics of today's session, and we have discussed the questions as well. So now it's your duty to watch the video very carefully, and it's like that these all are the interesting things, and it's not very difficult. So just watch the session very carefully, and after watching the session, students, if you are having any doubt, any question is there, what you have to do is you can post your question on the public or private forum of Ask IITians, and you will be getting your answers answers from the expert side. And that's how we will be completing this chapter in the very next session, because we have left with some of the topics. Till then, study well and watch the session carefully. And thank you so much for watching this video, and keep learning from us, Kaitians. Thank you.